Today we're going to look at a 10-mark explain question, looking at reasons why divorce rates have changed over recent years. This could also be a 20-mark question, looking at a similar sort of scenario, looking at discuss reasons why divorce rates have changed over recent years. But I'm going to discuss this as a 10-mark question. So again, as my previous videos show, you should be looking at between 3 and 4 paragraphs. It is an explain question, so make sure you use the word because on as many occasions as possible, giving examples and also backing examples up with sociological views if need be. Sentence structure should be point, evidence, effect, or reason, explain, example, or reason, explain, explain further, whichever one is necessary for the structure of a sentence. And finally, you should be looking to be spending between 10 and 15 minutes on the question, depending how quickly you write. So moving on to the 4 areas that I would discuss. Firstly, you might want to have a brief introduction saying that divorce is the legal end to a marriage. And you might want to discuss briefly, as I said, you don't want to be eating into your time. In the past, in Britain, it was seen as a matter of deep shame to a family if someone had a divorce. The Christian religion believed that people should marry for life, so laws against divorce were very strict. However, divorce is more accepted nowadays, and more marriages end in divorce. So the first area that you can bring onto, which is your chunky part of your first paragraph, you're going to be looking at patterns of divorce. Now, you can't see that word very well, I apologise. Basically what it's showing is from the 50s up until 2010, it's actually showing that less people are getting married from the 60s all the way through 2010, and in fact divorce rate has risen since the 50s, and it's slightly plateaued around the year 2000, but generally the pattern shows that divorce rates are on the increase and marriages are on the decrease. In 1970, just over a quarter of all marriages ended in divorce. However, divorce rates rose rapidly until 1994, when over 150,000 couples ended their marriage. This was a failure rate of 33% of marriages, which is significantly high. The numbers of divorces have been getting lower since 1994, but probably not because fewer relationships are ending. It is because fewer people are getting married. So, as I said earlier, some people believe that high divorce rates mean that marriages are less happier now. We do not really know this because people in the past may have been unhappy, but they could not divorce as easy. So it's hard to. They had to stay together. So there's a little bit of validity in them results. So, like I said, patterns in divorce rate. People are getting divorced more nowadays, but people are getting married less. One of the reasons why divorce rates have increased is actually because of the legal change to divorce. One reason fewer people divorced before the 70s was that divorce was seen as shameful, but it was very expensive and people could simply not afford it. So many people live together in what we know as called an empty shell marriage, which is basically where you stay together purely on the basis that you can't afford to get divorced. The law changed to make divorce easier in 1969, and more people divorced after that date. You can imagine after that date, lots of people filing for divorce. So since 1969, it has become a lot easier to get divorced, and you can actually do it online. You can get divorced online, or certainly fill in your application online. And then other changes to the law since have also made it then easier to get divorced. So again, always when writing your paragraphs, always refer back to, I would say, on your final paragraph or within it, draw back to the question, what it's saying, explain reasons why divorce rates have changed over recent years. So again, legal changes are reasons why divorce rates have changed, just to clarify what you are talking about. As on previous videos as well, secularisation is a key factor in relation to divorce rates. Simply, as I've said before, secularisation is religion is less important in people's lives than it once was. So few people are religious, so basically they don't feel they have to follow religious rules against divorce, whereas before, like I said earlier about Christian religion, people believe that you get married for life, and people stayed in unhappy marriages. Nowadays, people, if they are unhappy, then they get divorced purely on the basis that religion isn't as a key area or a key factor within their lifestyle, and therefore it doesn't affect them. And the final one, changing norms and values. There's been a significant change in the norm of people getting divorced. It's no longer seen as a matter of shame to be divorced, as more people experience divorce, perhaps as children. They like to have divorce themselves who are not happy. So basically what that's saying is that people's attitude to divorce rates have changed, and whereas before if you divorced somebody it was seen as that you had failed within your relationship. Within this as well, it's actually become more of a norm, and there's been actually a rise to a pattern known as serial monogamy, which is basically where you get married to more than one person, but only one at a time. So basically marrying, divorcing, marrying, divorcing, marrying, divorcing. And people marry, divorce and remarry on many times. And I thought I'd use this picture of a wedding cake. I quite like the picture of that scenario in relation to divorce is basically now not frowned upon, but just seen as common lifestyle in people's lives. Another way you can bring in that is changing norms and values is changes to women's lives. Basically in the past women were expected to get married and have children. There were few options. Now women have jobs and careers, as we've said previously on other videos. They do not have to be married if they do not want to. They do not depend on their husbands for money. They are less likely to put up with bad marriages. So basically the norms of women's attitudes has also changed, that has led to divorce rates changing. If you are unhappy, then why stay with somebody? And that is come about purely on the basis that women now have more choice. They've got bigger careers, they may be homeowners, and they are able to support their children and have put a roof over their head, whereas in the 50s that was not always the case. In most cases where divorce was around, it was basically in the 50s the reason people got divorced was possibly because of the male behaviour, the man's behaviour, and that's still roughly seen as the same today. Now, what you can do within your assignment is you can bring in these key terms what I've said, but there's also key views what you can support on and bolster your paragraphs with key sociological perspectives, particularly the feminist view towards legal change, but there's now more equality for women. You can also talk about that women are more career-minded within changing norms and values, and again that's a feminist point of view. If you want to refer to particular sociologists, you can refer to Gibson. And basically what Gibson spoke about was that divorce is basically sometimes a result of financial state of marriage, and sometimes because people do not have the financial security or the financial income to sustain a marriage, it often then breaks down, which has then caused a change in divorce rate. So Gibson talked about that financial state of marriage is a predictor of divorce, and basically saying that if you go into a marriage that you're not financially secure, then the likelihood is that you will get divorced. You may not agree with that, or you may disagree. You may agree with it, or you may disagree with it, and that's why we study sociology. Another key sociologist is Wilson, and he spoke about she spoke about that an increase in divorce rate is because of secularisation, and saying that people get divorced nowadays purely on the basis that people aren't as religious, people aren't following the same beliefs, and people don't have beliefs in relation to religion and divorce. So that is a reason why there's been a change in divorce rate. So you can include those two key sociologists, two key feminists into your answer to give some more rich evidence of sociological language that you need to gain the top 10 marks. And a very simple writing structure, as I use on the majority of mine. You can change yours to suit as you wish, but you can use that structure to structure your assignment. So I hope it helps, and thank you very much.